So you mentioned that voyage before from China all the way to London where they
Yes.
were racing.
Yes.
What was the time frame? How long did it
That was
take?
112 days. Yeah, and they were literally racing because whoever got to market first with the whole team, they were able to make that much more money because they got there quicker. Okay. Yeah, this is great footage. I mean, you know. But yeah. So what other questions might you have, David?
How far south have you gone personally?
Personally, I've gone as far south as Lima, Peru, in the Western Hemisphere, and I've been as far south as Sydney, Australia. In Australia, I haven't gotten that close to that part of the world. Of course, I was only going as a surfer, so I was looking for. I didn't want that raw power. I wanted it filtered into nice, long, beautiful waves. So, but I've certainly gone down there in my research. That's for sure. Okay. Yeah.
That's a steel hull ship, isn't it? And they're carrying guano?
Yes. This particular passage was for nitrate. And indeed, if you can imagine the west coast of Chile, the Humboldt Current is so rich in food that birds have been feeding off of the ocean since time immemorial. And the bird excrement, the guano, turns into massive deposits of guano or nitrate. And so there are islands off the coast of Chile and Peru that there's literally mountains of this stuff that is collected over hundreds and hundreds of years. And it was used, as I mentioned, to make gunpowder in Europe.
And it doesn't rain here.
Yes?
You didn't mention anything about rogue waves.
Rogue waves. Well, it's almost like every wave's a rogue wave in the Southern Ocean to a certain extent.
Talking about some ships disappearing together.
Yeah, a rogue wave is essentially a wave where 2 or 3 waves are all combining simultaneously. So you'll get a wave that's much larger than accompanying waves in that particular set of waves. As surfers, we see waves come in sets of 2 waves, 4, 7. There was a whole thing about the 7th wave and the 9th wave, and but rogue waves are a very important idea when it comes to comparatively calm seas. Maybe the waves are only 10, 15, 20, 25 feet, and suddenly there's a 50-foot wave or bigger. And you actually see more rogue waves in the North Atlantic because you have different cross currents, cross swells happening as storms move through a fairly confined area. Okay, yeah, this is great stuff. Imagine this guy filming this, with a 16 millimeter camera, black and white film, and there's some shots here that are pretty amazing. Okay, questions? Any other questions there? Yes, in the back.
There's a story about why he filmed this.
Why did he film it?
Yeah.
Because he had the idea that there was a glorious adventure to be had. He saw at the beginning he was training for this by climbing up telephone poles and swinging them back and forth as if he was on the mast of a ship. So he just thought this was just the ultimate adventure. And of course, in 1929, they were coming to the end of the age of sail. There's just no comparison between power and sail when it comes to getting someplace quickly. So he figured, well, this might be my last chance to do something like this. I can tell you that at one point in my life, I was scheduled to ship out on a freighter. And I was going to meet the freighter in the Panama Canal and ship out around the world. So I had that certain sense of open ocean wanderlust. Of course, my goal was to get back to Australia and get back to the surfing areas where I had surfed and be a school teacher and surf, and I had everything wired. But as it turns out, I literally missed the boat in Panama and never really got to ship out the way Captain Johnson did. But I think he just did it just because he knew this was going to be a grand adventure and he wanted to be a part of it. Now, one of the things you can see that the ship's moving comparatively quickly. The ocean's moving past it, you know, at a fairly good clip. Well, this is all under sail. There's no, the ship literally didn't have an engine. There weren't any engines in these ships. Okay? And they're huge. I mean, once again, you're talking probably this room, maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 rooms. That one room that way, and that's how, I mean, ships were, well, I guess today's cruise ships are pretty big, you know, floating apartment buildings, you know, but so this is something else. Question way in the back.
How many knots are they going?
16. Whoa, they could go up, they could go as fast as 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 knots was top speed for them. So, there's the captain's dog. Dog wasn't particularly friendly. Yeah, the captain would use the dog to chase sailors around. You know, and the sailors would run aloft and the dog couldn't get aloft, and so that was one way to get the sailors, you know, up to change the sails, is to have the dog chase them. But you can see that these places, you know, there's no romance here. I did have a chance to work on a offshore supply vessel that we brought from Florida through the Panama Canal into El Salvador, I was living. And about 4 days into the voyage, it suddenly occurred to me that working on one of these boats, it's like working in a factory, except you never get to go home. And so the idea of being on for 4 hours, off for 4 hours, all the way around the clock at a factory, it's a very dangerous place where, you know, they lost, in this particular voyage, they lost 2 sailors. And what happened when they lost the 2 sailors was nobody said anything. They just were gone, and their bunks were empty, and that's that. Question?
On the 67-day rounding of the Horn, did the captain record how many sailors besides the bosun were incapacitated?
I think in that log, I think there were, you know, he was very terse, right? He didn't have much to say. I think at one point there was 3 sailors who had been injured, and they had to go below, but, you know.
But not from seasickness,
just from getting injured.
I've got to turn this up.
Speakers are over here.
Yeah, this isn't going to work. That's bad.
Up there.
Yeah, once again, I urge you to get a copy of this, and but the images are kind of self-explanatory in a way, but to hear Captain Johnson narrate, okay, now we're going aloft here. At one point, he says that there were 354 different lines that you had to know, and of course the names of all these were all in German. So, but the working conditions, you know, they have certain safety precautions, but not really. Questions?
They have turkeys there.
Had to eat.
Now, once again,
They have real turkeys.
I think this is when they're going about 15, 16 knots. And they're going pretty fast. And, of course, that speed is a function of the wind and the sails.
Well, I can say this guy must have been a fantastic teacher. There's a lot of students who could have a lot to thank for you. You did a great job for us tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
fantastic example of the wheel and the work and what these guys are doing. But thank you all very much for coming. It's really been a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Sends his dog after you and all that.